Hello ladies, and welcome back to my channel. For this video, I'm going to be recreating a look I wore this morning when I had to run out to the pharmacy to pick up my medication. I've been trying not to leave the house as much as possible like we're supposed to do, and this was sort of an unplanned outing because I had scheduled for my pharmacy to deliver my medication, but I think there was a mix-up in communication and I had to go and pick it up. So I wanted to wear something fun. Everybody's talking about their apocalypse outfits, and I don't have any really crazy apocalyptic type outfits, you know, no Mad Max style. But I'm wearing this really fun jacket with these leatherette details. Now, today I went with a red and black theme. I don't know why it just ended up being that way. My lipstick isn't really lipstick. I think it's kind of fun. I'll talk about it. I am really big into historical costuming and learning as much about textiles because I'm like a textile fanatic. I love textiles. So I love to play around with costuming in historical fashion, and I found a recipe in one of the costuming books that I purchased for a lip stain made from natural ingredients. So that's what I've been wearing if I'm covering my mouth and nose to go out, so because it doesn't come off on the inside of any of my masks. Now, it's kind of weird. You could say, well, just don't wear lipstick. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like my whole look is together unless I'm wearing lipstick. So it's one of those, So that's what I've been using so it doesn't come off. Now, today, the wrap, I wanted to talk about what I utilized. And it's kind of one of those questions that's I'm supposed to address in the Back to Basics videos. But I'm not going to put it inside of there because I'm doing that series in collaboration with Rapunzel. So I'm gonna, it's similar but not part of that series. I'm going to be talking about using fabric as a scarf in your head wraps. This question came from a lady who lives in an area that head wrapping is not the norm. There's not a lot of places to buy scarves, and ordering in scarves it's costly and can be problematic. So I'm starting for this look. I'm starting out with the basic look that I had the other day. I'm with the turban with this volume up top and further down on my head than I normally wear it, just because I kind of liked the idea of that look, and I wanted to carry it through but change it up a little bit. That's what I like to do. I like to find styles and then play with them until I get them mastered and see the differences in how they look with different colors. So today's video is no different. But back to using the fabric pieces. The piece I used today was a piece of a sari that I cut up many years ago. It's probably, Alyssa, I made a costume out of it to go on a field trip with Alyssa for middle school. We went to a museum in Hagerstown, I do believe. We're having a Titanic exhibit, and of course I couldn't just wear a pair of jeans and a t-shirt or a sweater. I had to make a piece that was reminiscent of a Titanic era dress and go that way, because why not? So this was the piece that was left over. It has this beautiful border at the front, and it's on end at the back, so it's got on both sides. It has this beautiful border. The reverse, it can be used in the reverse as well, because the pattern is really goes through. So I have I have this piece. It's about 2 yards long. I find that that's a good amount of fabric. I wouldn't go under 1.5 yards because 36 inches is a yard. 39 is a meter. That's inches. I don't know. I don't know metric very well, but I do know that part. So I measure out, I think it's approximately 2 yards, give or take an inch. And the width of this one is 46 or 48 inches, somewhere around there. So I think 36 inches is good as well. That's really wide. That's really wide. You can have narrower, but that's what I'm utilizing right now. And then I had a sari sash in red with this gold detailing. And then these scarves I did pick up from Rapunzel, and they're kind of see-through and shiny and silky, but I'm pulling these out because they don't have any finished edges. It's just like a big piece of fabric. So if you had a piece of netting or a piece of lace or a piece of chiffon, that kind of is in keeping with this idea of these scarves. So I have 2 of these guys. 1, 2 in the same color because I was extra. I made one of those purchasing errors that I think a lot of us have made, where you hit the back button and you get 2 in the cart and you don't notice it, and then, oh my, I've got 2. So I was like, oh, I can totally use that for, and it's worked out so far. So, all right, I'm gonna get to the actual wrapping. I have the classic shaper on, not the classic shaper, my goodness, signature shaper on my head. And it's the one, it's got the Velcro. I placed it the same as I did for the fun look I did the other day. Down here and up in the back, so you have the portion of your hair that's not covered. No, don't worry, that's going to be covered by the scarf. But I'm going to start out by putting on the first scarf. Ooh. I'm going to be making a veil, and I found that I like the way I did it the other day with the veiling. Okay. It's just getting the piece to be the correct length. That's takes a couple seconds. Okay, so I'm going to back up just a tad. Okay, so maybe this will work better. And I do have my microphone on. I'm giving it another shot because it's a little much. I found that when I was wearing it, I was talk with my hands, and I was constantly hitting it because when I talk, I tend to tap myself in the chest area a lot, and I need to not do that when I'm wearing the microphone. So that's why I stopped putting it on. It was like, oh no, what am I doing? So, okay. Now, I'm tying the knot over here. This one is a little slipperier than the other one I did, the other one I wore. Okay. Now, I'm going to show, this is like a hot mess right now. I'm not afraid to pull out the scissors and snip this one. Again, it's like it's got the rough edges. It's a little strange, but that's what happens when you don't have the edges hemmed in any way. Okay, so I've got this. I'm going to fold it in a little bit. Bring it over. Now, got me. Okay. And then I am taking this guy up and over, locking that in place. Now this is one way to do it. Okay, so there's that. Now this I can pull down and underneath. Now when I was going out, I put on this really pretty lace mask. I'm going to try to get it closer to you. It's rather neat, and it has these little ear things, and it just sits on the face like so and goes around the ears. Now it's fun, it's nice. I just, the around the ears bothers me a lot, so I am making my own and things that match my outfits. So I'm just making them for myself and for my close family members. So I'm sorry, these will not, I will not, I'm not selling these. That's also another thing. I don't feel comfortable making and selling these kinds of products, because you shouldn't make money off of an epidemic or a pandemic or any kind of situation like we're having right now. That's just my personal beliefs. Everybody does what they believe is right, but I'm definitely not selling or giving these away to more than just my family members. Okay, now I have on my scarf like this. Now I want to show you another variation with the veiling, so I'm going to undo this one and just leave it hang here. But that was the way I did it the other day, and it worked out really well. Now I'm going to take my piece of fabric I have here, and I want to make sure that I have the not super silky gold out. I want to have this showing. So what I did, and I'm going to search really quick for my pins. They should be here somewhere. If they're not, then I'll just have to do this pinless. That should be fun. Manic and me got a new outfit today. She's going to be getting a new costume outfit every day this week. It's kind of my thing for the week. I am obsessed with costuming, and I made that several years ago. And I purchased the wig. And it's an authentic geisha wig. So, but that I've just swapped out all the decorations. The decorations are in the box that it came with. The hair ornaments, I should say. They're not decorations, they're hair ornaments. And I kind of thought it was really interesting and neat. Okay, so I have a safety pin in the back there just to hold it together. And I have the long piece over this shoulder. Now, what I'm going to do is have this wrapped across so that it hangs down. I'm going to do a quick knot. I want it to come out. Just laid this over. Okay. And I want a quick knot right here with the long tail coming out the top. Now the biggest problem with using fabric, again, is these weird things. They will be getting cut off as soon as I get this knot tied. Okay, so I have that on there. Now I'm going to locate my scissors and do that. Don't worry, I'm not throwing it on the floor. I have a trash can right there in front of me. I challenge myself to toss it into the trash can each time I cut. Okay, now I have this really cool sari sash, and I'm going to put it so that the gold side is showing because I really enjoy the gold side. All right, now I'm not sure. I think earlier when I went out, I went with it just this way, so it looked like these two were part of the same. But I think I'm going to turn it around for this so that the gold is seen in the back, like so. If that makes sense. Okay. Okay, I'm just tucking in, instead of tying a knot, I'm just tucking in the tail in the back here and hoping that it stays. All right, now I am going to not braid this, but I'm going to bring the black up, and I'll show you this way. Bringing the black up, I'm bringing the red up and this other darker red up. Now, I'm bringing the red back around. I'm bringing the red in front. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the red. So that we're sort of wrapping around, we're just taking the scarf, these two scarves around the black, like so. And then down to the end. Now I'm bringing it around. And around. Now, I do believe I'm going to go behind. I'm going to push this forward just a little bit. So, like this. You have this really great detailing, and then you have the red and gold, and you can see the shiny, sparkly red. And then I brought this around behind. Give it a twist. And then I brought this around the back, and I'm just tucking it away. And any edges, loose bits, tucking. And then I have my beautiful veil piece, which I can just tuck in this way underneath. I could pin it and bring this up like so. And you can see I have the piece draped down in front, Again, earlier, excuse me, earlier I had on my black, I'm turning the light off. Earlier I had on my black mask like so. It would be on my ears, but we're just going to pretend that it's on my ears. If I had some pins, I would be pinning it. I need to bring them back up. I took them downstairs. Okay, so just like so, up underneath. And then I had, this can go either over like this, or I wore it like so. So while that ends the wrapping portion of the video, I wanted to go in and talk more about the fabrics that I've used as head wraps, because this, you might find this helpful as well. Here is a sash I made out of a cotton. I fold it in half. It's pretty thick, and I use it as a sash. This is just over a yard in length. It's an awkward length, I will say, because it's really too long to be just used around, but it's not long enough to go all the way around and do a tie, if that makes sense, and have more detail. So it is just a sash. I fold it and use it. It started out life as part of what Mannequin Me is wearing as a tie for underneath. When I was doing a lot of research into Japanese culture, it was one of those things. I watched a movie and got inspired, and I just wanted to learn. That's my thing. I like to learn as much as possible. And I was like, how can I learn about this? So I bought kimono, and I have 4 or 5 of them, actual authentic ones with embroidery, and they're just absolutely stunning in silk, and they're gorgeous. But I wanted something that I could create, because that's part of my process, is creating. And I made this one here from a costume pattern. So the hardest part for me was this back piece, making this. But this is where this fabric came from, the underneath. And I'll post pictures of this if you're interested in looking at them. They'll be on my Facebook page. So that's that. I will also, kind of funny, I have masks. I have extra of this. I'm making myself a mask out of this material. I'm so excited. It's my daughter talked me out of calling this a plague, because I thought it was because it feels like it. I was like, oh my god, we need plague masks. But she talked me out of making a post about that. This is another piece of fabric. I made an 18th century, oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember the name of the gown. I actually made 2 of them. I was inspired by an actual historic garment worn by Isabel Fraser, because of course I watched Outlander, and the Frasers and all that stuff. So I was inspired, but I could not buy the tartan. It was really expensive. So I found this at my local fabric shop, and I made 2 gowns, 2 different styles. One of them was sort of in keeping with the wedding dress, and the other one is just amazing. It's an earlier styling, but I had extra of this fabric, and I thought, this is just a small piece of it. I did not bring out the entire piece of fabric that I've used as a turban, but it's heavier than a pashmina, but just slightly. It's about the weight of a tapestry scarf, if you're familiar with Rapunzel's tapestry scarf. But it's flowy and it feels good and it's warm. The fabric is not wool, but it's similar enough that you can get away with it. But I like this one. Also used netting. Not this particular color, but I've used it in wraps. I actually have a video up about it, this really big turban that I did in black with purple accents. But netting works really well when creating wraps. Now it is pretty fragile, meaning it's easily snagged, and once you get a snag in it, there's no fixing it. I guess you could embroider on it, but I don't. Once it's snagged, I snip that piece off and then continue using it until it's too small, and then I find something else to use it for. I have some satin. This is another piece that was left over from a costuming project. It's actually left over from the costuming project where I used this sari. But this kind of material works really nicely for making a scarf. I do recommend giving these a hem if you're going to use it. The netting you don't need to hem. This fabric you don't need to hem. The cotton, depending on the weight of the cotton and the way you're going to be using it, if you're going to have tails, hem or at least fray out enough of it that you can make little tassel ends like they have on the edges of the pashminas, or like on the edge here, because that's looks like you did it on purpose, not that it's just a falling apart. Okay, so we have the satin. I love using these. These are slippery, so you don't want to use tons of them together. That's an option for fabric. Now, I have this piece. Now, I bought this a long time ago from a shop in Reisterstown on Main Street. This was just a sari skirt. It's one of those wrap skirts, with the hole where you wrap it around and stick it through and then tie it somewhere. It's one of those, you can use it as a dress, you can use it as it's one of those. Well, I was wearing it and it got a hole. I put my foot, was somehow stepped on it and I put a hole in it. Now if I can find it, here it is. Now, I'm sure I can fix that. Silk, just after a long time, silk gets very fragile. But I'm sure I can fix that somehow. And just wear it on the inside. But I decided that it was going to be a wrap. And I may or may not have a video up. If I have a video up, I will show you. If not, I will make a video on how I used this. Because it's extra pretty. It was a great find. And it got a lot of wear out of it, but it's really fun and really pretty. Something like that you can definitely use for making a headscarf. And here's another cotton. This was, Game of Thrones. I made a whole dress out of this Game of Thrones fabrics. But it's another one of those cottons that you can make a scarf out of. I also found this piece. I don't remember the exact wrap I used it for, but it was, oh my gosh, it was so pretty. I saw this fabric and I said, this must come home with me and become a scarf. So this one is just the width of the fabric, and it's about a yard not yet, well, not quite a yard. It was a fabric remnant, and so I thought it was pretty. I think it's about 60 inches wide, 58, 60. It has some stretch in it, so it's not so bad. It's not so short. Had I been purchasing it not as a remnant but as a piece of, an actual piece of fabric, I would have bought 2 yards and then split it into 2 or 3 scarves depending on how I wanted them, how wide I wanted them, because that would have given me more to work with. But this makes for a great turban, and it's just really, really shiny and pretty. But I'm trying to think of what the name for this one was. I think it was part of the costuming for anime, the anime collection at the Joann's. But again, it's really, really pretty. And then this, along with this went with it. I've only worn them once, and I've got to pull them out. This will make me wrap with them again. But I like this netting. Should probably have worn this in March. Kind of fishy, kind of Pisces-ish kind of netting. It's really cool. It's iridescent, but this works really good for sashes, and if it were bigger, I could definitely have used this for a full scarf. It's fun. Okay, and now velvet. I haven't found a lot of velvet scarves, and I love a velvet. This one is a crushed velvet. It's just a 1 yard piece of navy blue velvet. I purchased quite a few different colors, but I like a good velvet wrap, and this also works really good. Now, this is how I learned that the 1.5 yards is the shortest you should go, because I purchased this just at a yard, a yard of fabric, and it's 58 inches wide, and it's not as long as I'd like it. I'd like to be able to do more with it, and while I can do a great beginner's luck, I can do a great turban, there's just more that I wanted to do with twists and stuff, and it's just a little harder. Now, I would make it thinner. This full yard wide is a wee bit much, and it gets to be heavy because it's a heavier material, and it's hot, so it's something I'll only wear in the winter or on cold nights. So, but the velvet works really good, and I think this one was only like $4 a yard at the fabric store. Could probably get it cheaper with a coupon. Now, when it comes to other options and utilizing the fabric store or fabrics that you may have laying around, there's always the option of making a sinar tichel. Now, I find these, they're challenging for me to wrap, but you can wrap them, and they're nice. It makes it look like you have many, many scarves on without actually having many scarves. And this is several pieces of fabric, just little pieces of fabric put together. There are lots and lots of tutorials for how to make these. Like you can see, this is a silk in a gray stripe, and then there's a purple. But these were all just satin pieces left over from costuming over the years, and then this is a great cotton piece. You can do them in any color combination. You can do, it's pretty much unlimited, or only limited by your imagination. That's another way to actually wrap without having without spending a ton of money and utilizing what you have. These can also be made out of old clothing. I know that seems weird, but I try to utilize as much of the older clothing as possible. I've taken jeans, you know, you get a big hole in your jeans and you can't wear them anymore. Not in the legs, but in other areas that are harder to patch and mend, or they're just, the hole is way too high. I've taken that and utilized that and made other outfits and things out of the denim. But I've also made head things out of the denim. I'm trying to think. T-shirts make for great headscarf material. Pretty much anything you can utilize to make a sinar tichel. Now, if I can find a link, I'll try to put a link to one of the pattern sites, but if I can't, I apologize. Just Google the sinar tichel, and I think that's it. I don't want to cover pre-tides or anything in this one because that'll give me something to talk about in the next one. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you in the next one.